What's up, guys? I'm Mike. Welcome to Tiger Talk. Joining me with Emily and Marina. And today we're joined with some special guests, Adriana and Isabella. How are y'all doing?
So
Good.
good, yeah.
That's good. That's good. So today we're going to talk about jobs and all that. So, what kind of jobs y'all work? Y'all work retail, like, painting stuff. What do y'all do?
I work at a restaurant.
Same.
I work at a parkour place for kids.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Remember that Ryan was like parkour.
So, how many hours do y'all work? That's just a question that just came into my mind. How many hours do y'all work a week during this time, or allowed to anyway?
This week I work 31 hours.
Dang.
Varies from week to week, but it's typically around that, which is lovely.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I usually work about 10 to 15, and that's because I have usually about 10 to 15 hours of dance too. So I kind of have to balance those two out. So it's like about half work, half dance.
Well, okay, so last week I worked like 25 hours, but I'm getting rid of my Sunday shifts because one of my youth groups is starting up, so I've got to stop working Sundays. So it'll probably end up being like 15, 20 hours each week, but I'm not being smart and I'm still doing like 20 hours of clubs too, so that's fun. Only typically work like 5 hours a week. I go in because I'm really lucky to have a job that's really flexible with my schedule because I'm in like 20,000 clubs like Isabella, and I teach classes for about like 5 hours, and that's a lot of classes for them. And then I do birthday parties over weekends, and that can take all day. So it could be like 5 to 15 hours.
Right, yeah. That makes sense and all that. So, how about this? How did y'all's jobs come out like during COVID time? Like, how did they react to COVID? What do y'all do? What's the difference between before COVID and after COVID with your jobs and how they handle it?
Before COVID, we were staffed pretty well, so we would have a lot of people like in the building at a time. But once COVID hit, we had people go on leave a lot. I didn't. I stayed. I was like one of like 6 people that stayed. So we would only have like 4 people in the store the whole time. And it was very stressful because everyone wanted deliveries and pickups. We weren't doing dine-in, but that was really stressful with only like 4 people, like being so understaffed. And as a result of that, because people don't want to work during COVID because they're afraid of exposure, we are still very understaffed.
Right.
So that's a big struggle. It's very stressful in the kitchen.
I actually didn't get my job till after COVID hit. And I honestly don't think I would have gotten one if it wasn't for COVID because I'm usually a lot busier with my schedule. But now that like a lot of things are happening, I have more time to work. But I can already tell you, yeah, I feel like things are a lot more understaffed or like, because I also work in a restaurant, there's a lot more to-goes happening, which I feel like is really just backs up the kitchen a lot and kind of stressful. And our dining room has less tables and there's a lot more cleaning procedures.
I don't know about you guys, but we're still at I think we're technically at like 75% in our store, but we're still seating tables like 6 feet apart. So like we're basically down half our tables, and we'll like keep some tables out and put like signs on them saying like, please don't sit here. But like when people look into one of our rooms, they're like, well, it's so empty. Why can't we go sit at that table? And it's like, well, because it's not 6 feet apart.
All the time. They don't see the sign. They try to sit at the ones with the sign.
Well,
Right.
going to restaurants now as a, I don't know, consumer, since you guys all work at restaurants and stuff, it's definitely, the vibe is very different. Like I went to a Mexican restaurant and it was really empty, but it made sense. Like, I don't know why people make such a big deal. They get so angry. They're like, well, you could sit a billion other people, but no, it's because 6 feet apart.
Do you guys have to enforce masks? Because as a hostess, like we're one of the first people you see, right? So we're the people who have to be like, you're not wearing your mask. Like, I feel like that's kind of stressful sometimes, especially dealing with some people's beliefs with that.
I have been yelled at so many times. I've been called some not very nice names by people because I've asked them to wear a mask. Like I've been like, if you don't have one with you, I can give you a mask. Like we have some in our
Mhm.
office, or if you go out to your car, or I'd be happy to help you outside. And people just get so frustrated, and I'm like, it's really not that hard. And then they'll go back to their car and they'll come back and they'll be frustrated with it. Like if you just put that on and then came in the first place, we wouldn't be having this issue. I'm just trying to follow protocol so I don't get in trouble, and that I'm keeping the safety for our customers and our staff. It's a courtesy thing.
Yeah.
And then for the like bigger parties, like we can only sit like tables of 6, and then we'd have to like split you up. People come in with like 10 people, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I have to split you up. We were only allowed 6 per table, so we can do 5 and 5 or 6 and 4,
Mhm.
whatever you're vibing with. And then they get frustrated with me. They're like, why is it like this? It's 8 over at the other. And I'm like, well, you have 10 anyway. But we're a private business, so it's different than what it is at other restaurants. And you have to be able to like be flexible with that when you go to a place, because you're choosing to go out and eat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. Large parties always stress me out. I kid you not, a party of 30 like a couple months ago. This is all during like the height of COVID too.
Mhm.
And I was like, 30? That was our like, whole dining room. It was we sat them. We had to seat them all at different tables, but we had to seat them. And that was probably one of the most stressful like shifts of my life.
yeah, and then the thing is, you don't have room for other people. Someone else comes in, all your tables are taken from this one party, and that's not fair to the other people who want to come in and eat, because like we're at like 50% capacity. We lose a lot of our tables already, and then you're taking up like all of them. And then when we're at capacity, people are like, what the heck? I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had to like start quoting higher and higher for our times, just
Mhm.
because I feel like a lot of people, even if they're not in a big party, are still like sitting at tables for a really long time and like taking their sweet time at tables. And I'm like, guys, first off, it's a pandemic. Don't stay here for 2 hours. Second off, we need those tables because we're at limited capacity. So,
Yeah, like yesterday I was at work at a table literally just of 2 people. I gave them their receipt after like 30 minutes. They were done with everything. I gave them boxes. They stayed for another hour just sitting and talking. Like I cleared off their whole table. Like they just had their like drinks there and their box of food and the receipt. They were just sitting there talking. I was like, I need that table, but I can't ask you to leave.
Mhm.
Have to imply.
As a person that does not work in the restaurant industry, I work in a gym, so there's certain laws that we can kind of get around. Like all coaches wear masks and stuff, but like because a majority of the kids are doing a certain amount of physical exertion, they don't have to. But we still try to keep them like socially distanced, and they sanitize every station, so the kids don't ever seem to have a problem with it. It's always the parents. Like they always get really mad for us for wearing masks, which is like a really strange occurrence. Like I had a lady be like, why are you guys wearing masks? Like, is that necessary? I was like, it's just a safety for everyone. We're preventing things. Or we have kids, again, like sanitize in between every station. And in classes, every station is like 10 minutes. And so like parents will grab their kids before they go and sanitize, and they're like, you don't have to do that, you just did that a while ago. And we'd be like, no, there's like 20 other kids here. It's annoying. So that's my input on it.
it's like people keep forgetting we're in a pandemic. Like just because
Yes.
we want it to return to normal does not mean that we've returned to normal.
Exactly.
Do you guys think we'll ever get to the point where we don't wear masks at work?
Like in a couple years.
My God.
Some people are really nice. Like there's a lot of people who like will get on my nerves. But I've had like guests like pay for other people's meals because they were like saw them sitting alone or something. And like there are really good people in the world too.
Right, yeah. That's a good thing. Anyways, I think that's all the time we have today, guys. Thanks for watching and all that, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.